Good morning, beautiful people of the world. Good morning. It's Thursday, January 8th, 2026. How you guys doing this morning? I'm stuck. I'm stuck like Chuck. I don't even know what I was gonna say. It's Throwback Thursday. So if you all have a throwback picture memory, you can put it over on my community page. I did go over on my community page and saw there were some recent photos put on the community page, and haven't had a chance to really look at them and respond to them. So but I will. I overslept. I'm just exhausted, mentally and physically. I overslept, so I woke up late, and go this way. Woke up late, later than I normally wake up. I was just struggling. I woke up about 3:30, was watching TV, and then my mind was like, just go on and get up. And I did, and I fell back to sleep. And yeah, so here we are. I'm on my way though. I intended to be out of the house by 5:15. Didn't happen. But I'm up. Another day, I'm up. So YouTube decided to give me an age restriction on one of the lives that I did. It's the live that I actually had on this shirt. So if you go and see that live and I got this shirt on that say love, yeah, they gave me an age restriction for that live. So that video, that live can't be monetized. You know, it's getting close to the strike being lifted. So I guess they decided they gotta mess with me, you know. I get so sick of them. I just get so sick of YouTube. So, yeah. So that came through today, that the age restriction is on there. That was on there this morning when I woke up. I'm like, you know what? Fuck you too. I'm serious. I'm just sick of them. It's like whatever. You know, it ain't like y'all pay content creators a whole lot of money. Y'all find any kind of way not to pay us. Any kind of way. So it is what it is. I do intend to or plan to come live this weekend. I do. I don't know what day, so I ain't gonna tell y'all because I don't know. I don't know. I know that somebody sent me a message day before yesterday saying that he gets tired of watching hauls and car chats, and could he have my OnlyFans link? Yeah, you can have it. But don't get over there and be disappointed when you don't see no content uploaded. You want to go watch the old videos? Fine. Whatever. So it is what it is with that too. But you know, hey. So I need to take my car. I need to call today and see if I can take my car, get an oil change. It's oil changed Saturday. And yesterday I went after work, got my nails done. I like the color. It's just like whatever. I didn't know what color to pick. They just look so bad. You know, I had that green on, that deep green, and that red fingernail, one finger for Christmas. And they just need to get done. And the lady that did my nails, she pissed me off because it wasn't the man who normally do my nails. I really didn't want her. I really wanted him to do them. And I think when I go back in there, I'm going to ask him to say to him or request it. He's the owner. He just does a better job. I didn't care for how she actually was trying to lift my nail up, and she broke my nail, my real nail, because this is not a tip. These are mine. I just get an overlay over them, but these are mine, and she broke my nail, and I was pissed. You know, if you don't know what the fuck you doing, just say, hey, you know, I don't know how to get lift this little piece up. I said, why you just didn't tell me to soak this stuff off? Why would you break my nail? So I was pissed about that. I was like, don't say nothing. But I did say something. I said, you broke my nail. She's like, I'm gonna, something she was telling me she was gonna do. And it kind of, it was kind of hurt. So I'm just going, when I go back, I'm gonna say, and he asked her to do my nails. He wasn't doing nothing. So I don't know why he didn't want to do, why he was sitting there when I came in. He spoke and said Happy New Year, whatever, and then he said to her, can you do her nails? And he told me, so sit in her chair. And I'm thinking to myself, when do you just tell somebody to do somebody's nails? But you know, my mind has just not been all the way here. But next time I'm gonna say, it's gonna be him, or another lady. But I ain't like her. I ain't like the way she did my nails at all. She didn't do a bad job. I mean, she did them. You know, it wasn't like and I gave her a tip. You know, I wasn't like I was dissatisfied with her completely. But you knew you broke my fucking nail, though. And you knew you did that. So I was a little miffed, you know. And I just didn't like the way I didn't care for her technique. Just put it that way. I didn't get a pedicure because I got too many bills to pay out of this check. So I didn't get a pedicure. I was like, I'll go back and get a pedicure. This street is so freaking raggedy. This street is ridiculous. It's just getting worse. I don't understand how you pay one side of the street and not the other half. But anyway, I didn't get a pedicure because, like I said, I got too many bills to pay. I got too many bills to pay out of this check. That gas bill is so freaking high. So I just got my nails done. I'm going to get my hair done today. I can't go get my hair done tomorrow because Christopher, his report card pickup tomorrow. So I can't go get my hair done tomorrow. So she's going to do it today. And it really don't look all that bad. I could go another week. I just don't want to. I might have to. It depends on what this weather is supposed to be like. Raining really hard this afternoon. So it just depends. She might cancel. I might cancel. But it don't look that bad. And in the back, it don't look that bad. But I need to get it washed, though. So I try to I gotta go find some oil to put on it because it's so dry. I just got dry skin. Like my hands are dry. I just got dry skin. I always have had very dry skin. Almost like eczema dry skin. But so I did that yesterday. I did talk to my cousin, my uncle's daughter that lives in London. I talked to her and I was telling her she got a little upset that something that one of my friends said. I don't really, this is one of my besties. I really don't think my friend meant meant, I know she didn't mean any harm, but my friend can be kind of, she can be kind of direct a little bit. Even her daughter kind of, she can be kind of direct. And what she said to me, which made me feel even more guilty about the situation, and I don't think that wasn't her intent, but she did say it. She said, why? She said, why did you call and do a well-being check that day that he said that to you? And she kept on saying he did it that day. She was like, he did it that day. And I said, I didn't do a well-being check that day because I didn't have no information on where he lived. And I said, I didn't do a well-being check because I didn't think he was going to do that. I said, hindsight is 50-50. And I haven't talked to a lot of people. I've talked to you all about it, but I haven't talked about it to a lot of people, because I don't want people asking me dumb questions, or asking me questions, or asking me what he said or how he said what he said to me. Because what I told you all he said is what he said. And that's it. It wasn't nothing more or nothing less. And that's what he said. He wasn't crying. He wasn't saying any. I just thought he was angry about something. He was frustrated that I wasn't getting in the door fast enough, and he wanted me to move a little bit faster, and I wasn't moving faster. I've never had a conversation with him in regards to anything like that. The only thing we had a conversation about in regards to that was when he said that he was not going to allow them to go back into his brain and cut on him. That's what he said. He said, I'm not going to allow them to do that. He said, he said, I'm done with that. I'm done with having them go back into my brain. But he never said, if they have to go back in my brain, I will do that, or I will do this. So I never had that conversation with him. We never had that conversation about that. So when I didn't know if he had been drinking. I don't know. But what I can tell you all is that his daughter looked some things up, and she believes that, and brain tumors, like I told you all the day, they can cause change in personality. And my uncle and I you think you know, but sometimes you don't know. But we had too many conversations about too many things. We shared too much. I didn't just lose an uncle. I lost my friend. I lost my brother. I lost someone who I talk to on a regular basis. Once a week, twice a week, sometimes every day. Text messages. He wasn't somebody that I didn't have a relationship with. My uncle's been in my life and acted as my brother, my big brother, from the time I was a little girl all the way up until now. There were times that we didn't talk. There was times in between where we didn't talk because of just life reasons and situations or whatever. But we did talk. We had moments where we weren't we were always close, but he was living his life. He was married. He had 2 more kids. He has an older son by another woman that he had met when he was in the service. So he was working, and I was working, and I was just doing my thing, living my life, and at one while, he and my sister was talking more than he and I was talking. And then I would call him. So we talked. And I'm gonna miss talking to him. And I wish that there was a way that I could have seen it, but I didn't see it. And I asked myself, what did you miss? So I could have did a well-being check that day. Maybe I should have. I don't know. I was so stunned and so shocked and so mad. My mother said that I had turned another color. It scared me. It scared me. It just scared me. But I thought he was angry about something, and I just said, okay, I'll just wait until let me give him 50 feet, let me give him some space, But anywho, I don't know why traffic is so light today. Really, really light. So I told his daughter what my girlfriend said, and my cousin, she got upset. She was upset. She was like, she said I saw signs, and she said and I ignored them. She said, and I was dismissive with him. She said because it was like, in other words, like she was saying, he kind of got on her nerve, right? As parents do, and she said she just felt like, okay, well, you'll be okay, and we do that. We do that with people. We don't take everything serious that everybody says to us. We just don't. And I understood what she was saying. I understood it. We brush people off all the time. We like, okay, well, I'll talk. Because we into our own thing. We into our own world. It's not selfish. It's just what we do. So she said, now her brother, her oldest brother, he's feeling guilty. Everybody has got this weight, this huge weight of guilt. Because they weren't talking. He wasn't talking to the oldest son. He wasn't talking to the youngest son at that particular time. So the oldest son is feeling guilty now because he didn't call him and say Merry Christmas to him. So everybody is dealing with this shit, and this shit is fucking heavy. And we all sitting in our own stuff now, and we all sitting in our stuff going, what could I have done? What should I have done? Should I have did this? Could I have done that? I told her, I said, I was afraid to even tell you what he said. I said, I felt like you were going to get mad at me because I didn't. She said, well, what could you have done? She said, I don't understand what you think this is 29-year-old, very bright, smart. She's so smart and so intelligent. Oh my God. She said, what could you have done? She said, I just want to know what you think you could have done. She said, yeah, you could have. And my girlfriend was like, and I said, well, because I said to my girlfriend, I said, well, how am I responsible for that? What could, she's like, well, I'm saying if you had did a well-being check that day, maybe he would not have laid there as long as he did. I said, well, I don't know what day he did it. She's like, he did it that day. It was just her, she was like, he did it. That the day that he said that to you is when he did it. First of all, I don't know what day he did it. I don't know what hour he did it. I don't know, because I don't have no autopsy report. She'll share that. That will be shared with me once they get it. They don't have it. They don't have it. So, they don't have it. We don't have it yet. They told me they'll let me know. When I talked to my male cousin, his oldest son, I told him the same thing. He was like, no. He was like, I would have reacted the same way. He said if he had called me and said that to me, he said I would have reacted the same way. He said I live right here in the same city that he does, and I wouldn't have called and had a well-being check done. He said because now he has had conversation with his children about that, and my sister, not me though. And he said, and I still wouldn't have did that. And I said, you wouldn't have? And he said, no. He said, because I don't know if I really would have, if I would have believed that. You know, he said, I'm not to be honest with you. He said, I'm going to be really honest with you. I don't know if I would have. He said, first of all, he said, the fact that you're in Chicago and you put all the work in place to find him. He said, that's a lot right there. He's like, you don't even live here. He said, you could have called me and said for me to do it. He said, but you handled it. He said, we wouldn't know to this day if you hadn't have done anything. He was talking, saying about me. He was like, if you hadn't have did the work. So it kind of, when I talked to the son last week and he said that to me, because I haven't talked to him this week. I said I was going to call him today, but see, I don't know if he's at work. I don't know his schedule, but I think what I'm going to do is send him a text and tell him to call me. But he said I wouldn't have done that. He said I would have brushed him off, and I would have been like, don't call me with that bullshit. This is what his son told me. He's like, that's what I would have said. And he said, you can go around and around and around about it. He said, but the outcome still would have been the same. He said, that's what I think. His son didn't act like he was surprised. He didn't act like he was I'll put it to you like this. He acted like he was not that shocked. Shocked, but not that shocked. Because I don't know, they've had some conversations. He said, but I never thought that he would. He said, I never thought that he would. He said, I just, he just talked about some things that he's struggled with. He said, and his son said, I've struggled with some things, I said, we all have. I said, hell, I told him, his son, I said, I've had times in my life where things have been bad and I just didn't want to be here no more because I was just tired. He said, exactly. He said, that's what I'm saying. And his son is 40. So, he's married with 2 little children, just had a baby about 2 months ago. He says, so ain't nothing down here. Let's get my fucking nerve. Hold on, yeah. I get a park by the door, and this one right here by the door. I'm gonna figure out what kind of parking space is this. Oh, okay, I see. This is a wide ass parking spot. Let me go punch in, y'all. I'll be right back. This is a weird parking spot. All the parking spots are like this, and this one is like, wait, I don't know who did these lines. So, you know, when his son said that to me, you know, it just kind of like made me feel a little better. But then after my girlfriend said that, it made me feel guilty all over again. And I understood what she was saying. I don't know. My mother said, that's why you should. My mother is so funny. She's like, that's why you shouldn't have said nothing to nobody. And I said, you know, I guess. You know what I'm saying? I guess. But this girlfriend and I, she and I work together here. And we're very close. Very, very close. And we tell each other everything. And that's how she felt. You know, that's how she felt. And I ain't mad at nobody for feeling how they feel, you know. But my cousin said that she felt that it was insensitive. And my mother agreed that she felt that it was insensitive. So, I don't know. I kind of felt that it was, my cousin said, that's a fucked up thing to say to somebody who is in the process of grieving and feeling some type of way. You know, and it's always what we could have did, what we should have did. It's always we should have said, we could have said. It's always that way. You know, always. But it's what it is. You know, it is just what it is. I'll never be the same person that I was before December 26th. I felt like that when my father died. I felt like a part of me left with him, you know, and I feel like a part of me left with my uncle as well. But I feel like, you know, there were times, my sister said this too, that there were times that she would talk to him and she would be like, I'll call him back because I know this is about to be a long conversation. I know that this is going to be a, you know, my sister said there were times that she felt drained. And I felt like that. I didn't feel quite, I don't know if I would use that word, but I felt sometimes with him that it was just no reasoning. You know, once he had it made up in his mind that something was once he had it made up in his mind that something was the way that it was, that's just the way that it was. You know, even when you would say or prove to him that it wasn't that way, he was that's how he was. You know, he would listen. And like I told his daughter yesterday, I said, you know, I never told him that he was wrong for how he felt. but I gave him a different perspective on how to see it from a different angle or from a different person's perspective. And when I would explain it to him like that without attacking, because how you feel is how you feel. Your feelings are your feelings. Whether I understand or don't understand, it's not for me to understand, right? It's not for me to understand why you feel how you feel. Because like I told Chris, and I'll get to that, you have to own it. Whatever way you feel, you've got to stand in that, right? So that's just what it is, so I never told him he was wrong. I just gave him reasons why, the way he thought, or the way that he said this or he said that or whatever. I gave him reasons for why what he felt was not accurate. Like when he wasn't talking to my mother, that was something that I said, that's not true. I gave him truth, not talked about. I never say to people, and this is one thing we got to learn, you cannot say to somebody, when somebody is telling you how they feel about how you have made them feel, or how a situation or someone has made them feel, stop telling people, well, you shouldn't feel that way. You can't tell people how to feel. The only reason why we say that to other people is because we don't want to own what we have done to offend someone. You cannot tell me how to feel. You can tell me that you don't understand how I feel. You can tell me that you're confused about how I feel. You can tell me, you can tell me how you feel, but you can't tell me how to feel. You can't tell me that my feelings are not valid, because they are. It's just that you don't, because the way I feel makes you what? Uncomfortable. There's a lot of things that we as a society continue to do over and over again that makes us dysfunctional. We continue to apologize for crying. We apologize. As soon as we start crying, we say, I'm sorry. Why are you saying you sorry for crying? Why? I see celebrities that be in an interview and they start to cry, and the first thing they say was, I'm sorry. I've never understood that. What are you apologizing for? And this is why we have so many dysfunctional, not able to be able to deal with their emotion. There's so many people emotionally dysfunctional, because it's always be like my other aunt. She's she's the same age as my mother, so she's old school. What did she say to me? Be strong. How? The word that be strong, that word be strong, when you're going through grief and shock, how do you expect people to be strong in grief? And this is what happens to so many people. Well, I got to be strong for them. I got to be strong. But who's being strong for you? Why? Why do you have to be strong? Why you got to be strong when you hurting? Why as a man, I will admit this, there are some men who really, they don't cry, but I can't stand a whining ass man. And what I mean by that is somebody who just always whining. You know, like just a whiner for no reason, kind of a whiner. It's different if you crying about something that is bothering you, or you hurt, you know, about something, or something makes you emotional because you're just an emotional person. But when you're a whiner, my sister used to date this guy who was a freaking whiner. He could not talk whenever something was going on with him. Oh babe, that would drive me crazy. You ain't gotta whine. Just tell me what the fuck it is. And that would get on her last nerve. And one day I was with them. I actually knew him before she knew him. They kind of met through me, because we all went to the same church, this mega church, and I was on the baptismal committee, and I was friends with him. I just never knew that he was like that until one day we were all together. And he was wanting that he did that. And I was like, and then when I don't know where he went to the bathroom or something, my sister, she was like, oh my God. I was like, does he do that all the time? You know? She was like, yeah. And of course they didn't work out because he was too needy. You know, he was too needy. And my sister, she's a lot worse than me. She is a lot worse than me as far as having patience. They didn't work. They didn't work. She doesn't let her now husband. He to me, he's a whiner too. I said, why do you always pick these dudes that are whiners? She's like, I don't know. Because she is so far from, she only gonna hold your hand so far. And that's it. You know, that's the type of person she is. And I understand it. Because I have some friends, male and female, that are whiners. And I can't stand it. It's like, okay, I understand what you're saying. Okay, now what we gonna do about it? What we gonna do about it? When I first started this YouTube channel, and I was doing the fashion and stuff, this same uncle asked me to do what I'm doing now, to talk about different topics of things. And I didn't, at the time, that's not what I was doing on this channel. I was like, well, I'm not doing that. And he kind of got mad with me because I didn't want to do what I'm doing right now. And when I started doing this car vlogs or whatever I've been doing, he said, remember I told you, gave you topics? And I said, yeah. He said, you didn't want to do it? I said, yeah. I said, because that's not what the channel at the time was about, you know? He's like, yeah, but look at you now. Because he used to watch some of my car chats. So he would call me and we would talk about different stuff. He said, I told you, you should have been doing that. I said, yeah, but that's not what the channel was about at the time. And it wasn't, you know. There's a lot of weird people that work here. Nice guy, but kind of strange. He's like, I told you, you should have been did that. I was like, oh, well. I said, well, I'm doing it now. So you got any topics? Started laughing. It's amazing how things change, right? Anyway, so now the other uncle who was taking Chris to school, he's in the hospital. So now we worried about him. He's got to have hip surgery. He hasn't had it yet. Something happened with him. He and this uncle, the uncle that's deceased, they were really, really close at one time. And something happened with them, I don't know. But I think the stress from all of this caused his blood pressure to go up. And he got sick. So he's in he's in the hospital. And we were looking for him the other day because we couldn't find him. So we found out yesterday that he's in the hospital. So my mother was like, you need to give me your friends' numbers or somebody. I need to be able to get in contact with you. And because he wasn't answering his phone. These men, I swear. Garbage bags. Carry garbage bags in my bag. I never know when I'm gonna need a garbage bag. Never know. So hopefully he'll be okay. And I don't know when they're going to have the funeral for the family friend, but I hope it's on the weekend so I can go. Because if not, I'm going to have to take off. I'm going to have to take off. I'm going to have to use a sick day or something. And I've thought about him so much too. You know, and the thing about him, I had a memory about him. You know, I was dating this guy that my mother didn't like. And the family friend and my mother worked together on the job, right? My mother was actually, I told y'all my mother was his boss. And I was dating this guy. His name was Jonathan. And I was crazy about me some Jonathan, baby. I would fight my mama about Jonathan. My mama was right. He wasn't shit, okay? But I was crazy about him. So the family friend, Junius, his name is Junius. My mother was telling Junius about Jonathan. Now, I had told Junius that if I ever had twin boys, if I was to have twin boys, I was going to name them Junius Maxwell and Jonathan Michael. I told myself, if I ever have twin boys, I said, I'm going to give one of my kids your name. I had never heard the name Junius before, and I liked it. It was different. And he was like, I was about to say my nickname. I'm not going to say it because I don't want y'all calling me that. But he was like, really? You would name your baby after me, your son? I said, if I have twin boys. Well, I didn't. As life went on, you know, and I only had one child, which, you know, y'all all know the story. You know, Chris wasn't like he was planned or anything. But I had told Junius that. And he thought that was so funny. But how he and I became close, and why I said he was my buddy the other day, was because the guy, Jonathan, who I was dating, my mother didn't like him. And so she would tell Junius about Jonathan, right? And she was like, he ain't this and he ain't that and blah, 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 blah. He just using her, all of this. And Junius would tell my mother, oh, Diane. It was the way he talked. Oh, Diane. Oh, Diane. Leave her alone, Diane. And my mother would get so mad with him. She'd be like, don't be telling me not to, don't be telling me not to don't be telling me to leave her alone. He took up for me all the time. All the time. All the time. You know, all the time. And right before he got sick, he was still laying carpet. He knew how to install carpet. He had a carpet business. And I just couldn't understand. I said, how are you still laying carpet? You know, and he, you know, he's up in age, you know, in his 70s. And he was. He refused to, he retired from working, but didn't retire from his business. You know, he taught his sons how to lay carpet. You know, there one while I was going to have him come and lay some carpet in my apartment. And I was like, I ain't doing shit up in here. This ain't my apartment. But I thought about it. He said, he told me, he said, I'll do it. I'll do it. Just let me know when you want me to do it. But I never did. But he was hilarious. He was just so funny to me. And I remember that. I remember about him. He would take up for me. Whenever my mother got on me about something, I would go to, if I saw him, I'd say, let me tell you what my mother said about blah, blah, blah. I said, my mama always, blah, blah, blah. He said, don't worry. He said, she ain't gonna mess with you no more. Let me handle it. And that day that she was telling, I think we were all three together or something. I don't know where we were. But my mother was talking about Jonathan. And she was saying, he ain't shit. He a dog. He this, he that. And Junius was like, oh, Diane. Oh, Diane. Leave her alone. Diane. Just leave the girl alone. He was so funny to me. And so when my sister's children were little, my niece couldn't say Junius all the way. So she, for short, called him Junie. And she had this deep voice. She was like, hi, Junie. We went on a cruise together. We went on 2 cruises with them. It was a bunch of us. We went to San Juan, Puerto Rico. We stayed a day. We went a day early. Did we? I'm trying to think. I know we went a day early. There's a picture I have of him and all the guys standing there, and they was flexing their muscles. I have those pictures. I think we went to San Juan a day early, and we stayed a day after. But we went on a 7-day cruise with them, with their friends and family. We had a ball. And then we went on another cruise with them. We went on 2 cruises with them. And I remember the first cruise we went with them. I remember his wife, she was like, Diane, we going on a cruise. We want you and the girls to go. And so my sister took the kids, her 2 kids, because they were small. And we went on that cruise. And we had a ball. Oh my God, did we have a ball. And It was fun. And then we went on a second cruise with them. And it was nice. It was nice. So I have a lot of memories with them. When they bought their house, I loved their house. I fell in love with that house. It wasn't a huge house, but it was a nice size house. And their house always had something going on. They had barbecues, get-togethers. They knew a lot of people. At the time, her mom was living, and her mother was so sweet, and they called her mother, and that's what we called my mother's mother. We didn't call her grandma, called her mother. Everybody called her mother. And when we met Deborah's mother, they called her mother too. And when I heard that just like made me like have a connection with her, you know. And her mother and my mother were good friends, you know. And then as the years went on, you know, she died well up into her 90s, and you know, she got older and stuff, and we didn't see her that much. And Mother and Junius were like this. They were so tight. Because Junius' mother had died many years ago. So his mother-in-law was like his mother. When I tell you they were two peas in a pod, they were like this. And I know that Junius is up in heaven with Mother, and I know they dancing and singing and hugging and laughing. I know she welcomed him in because he was like her son. That was her baby. Deborah couldn't do nothing to Junius without Mother, you know, stepping up, taking up for him, you know. And she lived with them for years. And then she has a daughter. And I think I told you all about the daughter. This is the young lady who has 2 sets of twins. They had one child, then they had a set of boy twins. Then she turned around and got pregnant again. She had a set of girl twins. We went to that baby shower. And one of the twin girls, she ended up having cancer. But she got through it. But it was rough. It was a rough time, but she got through it. We were praying for her. She's a little girl. And all of her kids are big now, you know, and we went to her wedding. I remember going to her wedding. I was all thin, had on this little red dress and stuff. So, you know, it's a lot of memories with them. A lot of memories. Just a lot. So I'm just praying for them. And then last but not least, I want to give you all an update on Nazir. The little boy that I told you all had open heart surgery. He had all the complications that he had. Well, baby, yesterday, he was up and walking. He was up. He was walking on his own with no assistance. Now, here's the thing with Nazir. Because of the blood clots that he developed in his hand and in his arm, he will have to have his right arm amputated, and he will lose his hand and his arm, and I think up to the elbow. That arm is still wrapped, and he was up coloring with one arm. He was drawing with one arm. He was up. They haven't did the surgery yet. They haven't did the amputation yet. They're trying to get him to adjust with the one arm, the left arm. And I don't know if he was right-handed or left-handed. That I don't know. But he's doing good. He's doing good. He's off of a lot of the medication that he was on. He's doing good, y'all. He is doing good. It's sad that he will lose his arm, but he's alive. He's alive. And so I texted her last night because I hadn't really been keeping up with her because the holidays happened, and then all of this was going on with the family friend, with my uncle. It's just been, So I jumped on Facebook last night about 9 o'clock, and I saw that. And I sent her a text, and I said, "Hey, beautiful, I am so sorry. I haven't been keeping up with Nazir." I said the holidays was happening, and I, told her I had death and this and the other. And I said, but I see he's up and he's walking. And so I had read her post around the holiday where she said he would have to have the arm amputated. But I just thank God every day that he's better. I just thank God. I just thank God. I just thank God. I just, So that was a blessing to see. That was a blessing to see. And I just said, oh, God, you're so good. You just answered prayer. You just answered our prayers about him. And I'm just so thankful, and I'm so grateful to God that he's doing so much better. So much better. So continue to pray for him because he is struggling. He's struggling with the fact that he knows he's going to lose his arm. And he hasn't accepted it. Which is normal because he's a little kid, right? He's a little kid. And so he hasn't accepted it. She said he is struggling with that. But he's still here though. And that's the main thing. He's still here. So praise God for that. Praise God for that. So I was going to talk to you all about something else, but I think I'll wait to talk about that tomorrow. But in the midst of everything, I'm still grateful to God. I still know who he is, and I still am not sleeping very well. It's just 2020, the start of 2026 has been just rough for me. We're 8 days in the new year, and it's just been boom, 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 boom. I feel like I know that I'll get an opportunity to say goodbye to Junius when I see him at the service. But I won't be able to do that with my uncle. I won't be able to see my uncle. I won't be able to look at him and say goodbye to him. I have to remember him for what, who he was. That's all I have is my memories and pictures or whatever. But I had two major deaths because I just found out about Junius being sick. And I had no clue. I had no clue from the time I found out, which was around Christmas, and then going right here into the new year, he's gone. I hadn't even really dealt with the fact that he was sick, right? I wasn't dealing with that. When I heard it, when I was like, oh my God. But I just thought that I didn't have time to really adjust and really accept it. And then this happened with my uncle, and I didn't forget about Junius. This with my uncle was such a blow. It was such a blow that, I have not had a good night's sleep from the time that happened with him the day after Christmas up until now. I am so tired. I am emotionally, and because I'm so emotionally drained, physically I'm drained. Yesterday on the way home from work, I have this app that comes up that tells me things that's happening in the world. And I saw something come across my screen about somebody had committed suicide, a teenager, and the other teen told, they're saying that the other teen is responsible for the other teen's suicide because that teen said to that teen, you better off dead or something. It was something like that. And I'm driving, right? And it pops up here on my phone. And as soon as I saw it, I kid you not, this eye, that's why I don't have on any eyelashes. My eye went to hurting. My eye started hurting so bad. I was like, oh my, I kept doing it like, what? Why is my eye hurting? My eye, it was like I couldn't focus. My eye was just hurting. To the point where I had to take the eyelash off, and it was just hurting, just hurting, just hurting. As soon as I read that, it's like it just triggered something, I overslept this morning because I'm up in the middle of the night. My mind is just, I can't seem to get no peace. I just ask that you all pray that I get some peace, because it ain't over. It ain't over. It's just not over. It's still, it's a death investigation. Things are being investigated. It's more to come out. It's stuff that he has in the apartment that he said he told me and his daughter, things he has written down. I don't even know what's in it. It's just, it ain't over. It's not over. It's not over. When people, Junior's death is so, it's different because we know that he's gone and there's nothing left for us to have to wonder about or question about or find out about. I'm so at peace with the fact that he's not suffering anymore. He's not in any more pain. And that he's in glory. He was a saved man. He was a Christian man. I know where he's at. My uncle, it's so much turmoil. It's so many unanswered questions. It's so much. It's so much. So, I just need some peace. I just need some peace. Today I'm tired. I'm tired. So you guys, I'm gonna let you all go, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. So you all have a good rest of the week. Have a blessed week, blessed day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay? All right, you all. Bye.